David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news, the unprecedented security crackdown here in New York City with President Trump attending Game 3 of the NBA Finals in Madison Square Garden, a first for a sitting president. Streets blocked off, a perimeter fence surrounding the area. Thousands of fans searched before going in. One day after a stabbing spree near the site ahead of tonight's game between the Spurs and Knicks, Aaron Katersky reports from the Garden. Tonight, tornado watches across multiple states. More than 30 million people on alert for severe storms and possible flash flooding. Ginger Z times it out. Also breaking tonight, tensions soar after Israel and Iran trade fire. President Trump demands both sides stop the attacks. Late today, Jonathan Karl speaking with the president. Horrific images coming in. 2 U.S. pilots killed in a fiery plane crash. The pilots on their way to pick up a former Major League star and his family. The devastating scene, dozens killed in a powerful earthquake, the magnitude 7.8 quake collapsing buildings, including schools, and the earthquake felt across Florida. Here in the U.S., chilling surveillance video shows the moment a college student is shot and killed just after his family says his cell phone was stolen just steps away from his home. Police are searching for suspects. A McDonald's worker severely burned in a disturbing attack after a coworker allegedly threw hot oil on him. The war in Ukraine, Russia launches a wave of deadly strikes. Ukraine with a major increase in its drone capacity, firing into the Moscow region. Ian Panel is in Moscow tonight. Here in the U.S., the shift in the Los Angeles mayor's race, what the latest ballot count now shows for reality TV star Spencer Pratt as the race heads to a runoff. And the family business, the ABC News exclusive with Knicks star Jalen Brunson and his father, Coach Rick Brunson, the two hoping to make history.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis in for David. We begin with the extraordinary security operation now underway in New York City ahead of Game 3 of the NBA Finals at Madison Square Garden live on ABC. President Trump is set to attend a first for a sitting president at an NBA Finals game. Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world, turned into a fortress. Police and the Secret Service blocking off streets. Thousands of fans navigating around a perimeter fence surrounding the arena. Checkpoints at every entrance. Fans search before going in. The president's arrival and the unbridled excitement of the championship series consuming the city just a day after an alarming stabbing spree near the Garden. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky leads us off.
Tonight, much of the nation's largest city is locked down, streets blocked off, a wall of steel surrounding Madison Square Garden. The NBA Finals are back in New York for the first time in almost 3 decades, and President Trump is coming, a first for a sitting president. Unprecedented airport-style security for the game, the Secret Service searching 19,000 fans.
All attendees will pass through TSA-style magnetometer screening before entering the arena.
The boisterous watch party outside canceled and moved elsewhere.
No one will be allowed inside the secured area unless they have a ticket to the game.
Police on high alert after 5 people were slashed in a seemingly random knife attack Sunday evening at Penn Station, the nation's busiest train station directly beneath Madison Square Garden. Tonight, a suspect is in custody. But nothing will stop the celebration.
We sweeping them. It's the Blue Broom.
In a city bursting with Knicks pride.
Let's go Knicks, baby!
Growing up in New York, I was born in New York, so watching the Knicks finally make it to the finals is like a dream come true.
These are the lucky ones, Lindsay, the people with tickets to tonight's game waiting to go through all of this extraordinary security that will be in place here for Game 4 of the NBA Finals right here in New York on Wednesday night. Lindsay?
Palpable excitement, Aaron. Thank you. Next tonight, we're tracking tornado watches across multiple states. More than 30 million people under alerts for severe storms and possible flooding. A dozen states under flood watches at this hour. Flooding is reported in parts of Missouri, where multiple roads are blocked by rising water and downed trees. And tonight, wildfires are breaking out in San Diego County, prompting authorities to order evacuations. Let's get right to ABC's chief meteorologist, Ginger Z, tracking it all. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, Lindsay. A tornado warning just popped south and east of Denver. We've already seen ping pong ball-sized hail into Nebraska, parts of Kansas. There will be more warnings on the map. As you can see, that tornado watch, some of them go until 11 p.m., but the flood watches are still up. Kansas City down to Atlanta and including Louisville. Let's go ahead and see what happens the rest of the week, because we have severe weather threats almost every day. It includes tomorrow, where Minot, Fairbanks, also Bismarck, Fargo, all included. Tornado threat up there, hail, damaging wind. And then Wednesday and Thursday, this upper level negatively tilted trough, as we say, really gets the atmosphere all instigated. So Milwaukee, Chicago, St. Louis, Cedar Rapids, we'll be looking at you for the midweek. Lindsay.
We know you'll be monitoring it all for us, Ginger. Thank you. Also developing tonight, the war in Iran. President Trump struggles to keep the fragile ceasefire in place after attacks between Israel and Iran. The president says the two sides must immediately stop shooting. Here's ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
Tonight, Iran and Israel are holding their fire after a barrage of missile strikes overnight, the biggest attack since the opening weeks of the war. Iran fired a volley of missiles at Israel on Sunday. You could hear the fear in the voices of passengers landing in Tel Aviv.
Please, can we get off the plane? It's a missile.
President Trump tried to convince Israel not to hit back, telling Axios, "I'm calling Netanyahu right now and telling him not to attack Iran in response." But Israel did anyway, firing back at Iran. Trump this morning pleading with both sides, posting on social media, Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting. Within hours, Iran and Israel backed down. But in a televised address, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu remained defiant. If the terrorist regime makes the mistake of attacking us again, he said, we will respond with force. Iran's top negotiator was equally defiant, saying we're going to fight at our own time and negotiate at our own time. But even as Trump pleads for peace, the U.S. naval blockade of Iran remains in place. And today, U.S. forces fired on a foreign tanker headed towards an Iranian port, forcing it to turn away. Still, Trump remains ever optimistic about a deal, telling the Financial Times Israel will follow his lead. I call the shots, he said. I call all the shots. Netanyahu doesn't call the shots. I spoke with President Trump just a short while ago over the phone. He insisted that talks are actively underway with the Iranians right now, telling me repeatedly he doesn't want anything to get in the way of his deal, saying, quote, we're trying to finish it up. And Lindsay, it has now been 100 days since the start of this war.
Quite a milestone there. John from the White House for us. Thanks so much. Now to the images coming in. 2 U.S. pilots killed in a fiery crash at an airport in the Dominican Republic. They were on their way to pick up a former Major League star and his family when the plane erupted into a ball of flames. Here's ABC's Matt Rivers.
This is the horrifying moment a private jet crashed in the Dominican Republic, bouncing on the runway and exploding into a massive fireball, killing the 2 American pilots on board. You can hear stunned eyewitnesses nearby as fire crews raced to extinguish the blaze. Officials say the Gulfstream 200 took off from Puerto Rico and had just refueled in the DR. The pilots were then back in the air, bound for Austin, Texas, when they reported an emergency and tried returning to the airport. Yadier Molina, a former All-Star catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, says the jet was headed to pick him up, along with family and friends, and take them back to Puerto Rico. Molina, who was spotted at his son's baseball game over the weekend, tonight expressing his condolences to the families of those 2 pilots, saying, "This is all so heartbreaking." Lindsay, it's still unclear what emergency happened on board that plane that caused all of this. An investigation is already underway into this crash. Lindsay?
Matt Rivers, thank you. Tonight, the death toll is rising from a devastating earthquake that hit the Philippines. Dozens of people killed. The magnitude 7.8 quake collapsed buildings, forcing people into the streets. Here's ABC's chief international correspondent, James Longman.
Tonight, buildings crumbling, dozens dead and hundreds hurt after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake rocked the Philippines. CCTV cameras catching the moment the quake struck, panic sending residents in Davao City scrambling to the streets. Video circulating online shows the General Santos City shopping mall facade sheared off. This restaurant also collapsing just after all the workers escaped. First responders searching inside the building for survivors. In the rural town of Melita, these young students try to wait out the shaking ground. Then the structure behind them collapses. The earthquake struck just after 7:30 a.m. local time in the sea south of the island of Mindanao. Tsunami alerts rang out as far as Japan and Australia. The USGS says some 15 million experienced moderate to severe shaking.
Lindsay, some 10,000 families have been displaced with a warning not to return to damaged buildings in case of aftershocks. Lindsay?
James, thank you. A strong quake also rattled parts of the Florida coast. The magnitude 6.1 quake hit just to the west of Cuba. It was felt in St. Petersburg and Orlando. No serious damage reported. The quake is the largest on record for the area off Cuba's coast. Now to chilling surveillance video that shows the moment a college student is shot and killed in South Philadelphia. His family says it happened just after his cell phone was stolen steps away from his home. Police are now searching for suspects. Here's ABC's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, this disturbing surveillance video capturing the moment authorities say a Penn State rising senior was shot and killed in cold blood just steps from his home in South Philadelphia. His family devastated.
For him to get shot like that is a travesty.
Video obtained by our ABC station WPVI appears to show the events of early Saturday morning. 22-year-old Billy Schmidt was walking home after watching the NBA Finals at a local bar. Schmidt is chasing two men who appear to have stolen his cell phone. All of a sudden, one of the men stops, turns around, and opens fire, striking Schmidt in the chest.
I'm shocked. When they stole his phone, he chased the kid. When he got to the corner, another guy came out from that side, and they shot.
The young man was transported to the hospital where he died. His father, Bill Schmidt, said he found his son's cell phone under a nearby car and turned it over to police. He's heartbroken and angry.
I want to find the two people and make them pay.
Lindsay, Penn State officials say they are heartbroken over this young man's tragic death. He was a journalism and media major with a promising future.
Pierre, thank you. We move on now to the heated Los Angeles race for mayor. With primary votes still being counted, Mayor Karen Bass is holding on to her lead. But reality TV star Spencer Pratt is seeing his chances of making the runoff election dwindle. Here's ABC's Kana Whitworth.
He's the upstart conservative candidate from reality TV. But tonight, Spencer Pratt could fall just short of making it into a November runoff with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass.
I look around and the city's failing most of Los Angeles.
Pratt was in second place on election night, but in California, where 80% of voters vote by mail, it can take weeks to get final results. And tonight, Pratt now in third place with progressive council member Nithya Raman moving past him.
What I've heard from voters across the city right now is a sense of dissatisfaction with the direction of the city.
Pratt's home burned in the LA wildfires. He's harshly attacked the mayor, his campaign getting a boost from sharing splashy AI videos. He ran as an independent, but was endorsed by President Trump.
I heard he's a big MAGA person.
Now with Pratt trailing, Trump making baseless claims of fraud, citing how long it's taking to count the ballots. But this is typical for California. Ballots postmarked by Election Day can arrive up to a week later and still be counted. And election workers cross-check the signatures on those mail-in ballots. It's not fast, but it's meant to prevent voter fraud.
This is really about making sure that every eligible ballot in this election is counted and counted correctly.
And Lindsay, the results in the primary California governor's race haven't been finalized yet either. Currently in first place, it's Democrat Javier Becerra. In second place, it's former Fox News host Steve Hilton. And rounding out the top three, Democrat Tom Steyer. Lindsay.
Kana Whitworth for us. Kana, thank you. Now to the war in Ukraine, where Russia hit a nuclear storage facility near Chernobyl. Ukraine's military is now showing a major increase in its drone capacity. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is inside Moscow tonight. Ian.
Lindsay, despite the talking, there's no sign of this war slowing down. This video shows the moment a strike hits a busy residential street in the Ukrainian town of Zaporizhia. The governor there blaming Russia, saying 2 women were killed and 18 injured, including 6 children, the youngest just 5 years old. Meanwhile, Ukraine stepping up its long-range drone strikes, firing here in the Moscow region, all intercepted. The Kremlin now accusing European leaders of hypocrisy for meeting Zelensky and promising military aid while talking of peace. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov also criticizing Washington for not implementing the agreement made between Putin and Trump in Alaska last year, warning everything now depends not on negotiations, but on the actions of Russia's military. Lindsay.
Ian, thank you. When we come back, a fast food worker gets badly burned. The alleged hot oil attack while on the job. Sparks go flying on an interstate. Traffic brought to a halt when flames race through a truck carrying fireworks. A court appearance for a man accused of sneaking onto a plane. What his lawyer is saying tonight. And the family business. Our exclusive with Knicks star Jalen Brunson and his dad, Coach Rick Brunson, chasing a championship and a place in history. Next tonight, a manager at a McDonald's reportedly suffers burns to 20% of his body in an alleged oil attack in Northern California. Relatives say Jacob Smith remains in the ICU with second-degree burns to his face, neck, and back. Police say Jelani Blewett, a co-worker, threw hot oil on Smith. Blewett was arrested and charged with assault and battery. He has pleaded not guilty. No word just yet on a motive. An explosive scene in Tennessee. A trailer loaded with fireworks caught fire on an interstate. The crackling explosive sent sparks bouncing across the lanes in Chattanooga on Saturday. Traffic stopped in both directions as drivers watched the growing flames. No one was injured. When we come back, a court appearance for a man accused of sneaking onto a plane. What his lawyer is saying tonight. To the index, the man accused of sneaking onto a United Airlines flight without a valid ticket in court for a hearing in Houston. Abdul Rahman Oriyami appeared before a judge. Police claim he used a forged ticket at a TSA checkpoint on May 18th. He's accused of sneaking onto a plane heading to Los Angeles and hiding in the restroom. Oriyami's lawyer says that this was all a misunderstanding, saying that his client thought he was buying a cheap airline ticket, not a fake one. The sports world is remembering three-time NBA champion Stacey King. King played as a center during the Chicago Bulls dynasty in the 90s. After retiring, he became broadcaster for the franchise. In a statement, the team described King as the unmistakable voice that helped bring Bulls basketball into the homes of generations of fans. King died at his home in suburban Chicago on Sunday. No word on his cause of death. King was 59 years old. A spectacular solar event captured miles away from Earth. Check this out. NASA astronaut Jessica Meir recorded the stunning view from the International Space Station. She shared this time lapse of the southern aurora. You can see those glowing green and purple lights snaking their way across the southern hemisphere. When we come back, the family business, our exclusive with Knicks star Jalen Brunson and his dad, Coach Rick Brunson, pursuing a title, and a moment for the history books. Finally, for one father and son, the road to the NBA Finals has been a lifetime in the making. Now they're chasing history together. Here's Will Reeve.
Jalen Brunson was just a toddler watching his dad play on the historic court at Madison Square Garden. It would later be his future, too.
He understands. He senses the moment right.
Now he's in the spotlight on basketball's biggest stage.
And Brunson nails the three.
Jalen and his dad, Rick Brunson, are the first father-son duo in NBA history to each play in the NBA Finals for the same franchise.
What do you remember about that Finals run, and how does it compare now as a coach and a dad 27 years later?
I remember like it was yesterday. You know, being here and trying to win a championship. In '99, it was a great run for us, but I would say now it's more exciting for me as a father to see your son on the stage.
Rick played for 8 teams in a nearly decade-long NBA career. He was on the Knicks for parts of 3 seasons, including in 1999, when New York was last in the finals against the San Antonio Spurs.
Brunson pulls up three-pointer, knocks it down.
Now Jalen is a superstar for the Knicks, playing in front of his dad, who's an assistant coach for the team.
Fox smothering Brunson and a foul.
And this guy has your back. He came running down the court after you when you were in a little bit of some action with De'Aaron Fox. Who was running down the court there? Was that dad or coach?
I'm always going to be a father first. But at the end of the day, if it was any other player, I'd do the same.
On and off the court, this father-son duo shares an unbreakable bond.
I wouldn't trade anything for the world. We had the best relationship. And I would say he allows me to be me.
How would you describe the pride you have for all he's accomplished?
It's crazy to me. I never envisioned, to this level. I just envision, like anyone who has children, you want success for them. I get so much pride watching them, and hopefully we can get to the mountaintop and celebrate as a family.
I just want to thank you. As someone, I grew up coming to Knicks and Rangers games with my dad. This place, this building means a lot to me. He died when I was really young. So thank you for being a really good example for fathers and sons and for Knicks fans everywhere.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
A full circle moment there. Our thanks to Will Reeve for that. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.